Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. Our digital address GA099 3341, also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country including ATL FM Cape Coast, Radio Max in Takoradi, Jubilee FM in Keta, and Kekeli Radio at Ho. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G, Just a Touch. And coming up, government rejects claims by former President Mahama that the education sector is being mismanaged. We hear from the Deputy Education Minister more as former President Mahama dismisses assertions from the governing MPP that his administration will scrap the free SHS policy if voted into power.
No review today, no review tomorrow, no cancellation.
When I say review, I mean to improve. And the first thing we'll do is to abolish the double track.
Also, bulletproof glass curtain for the Chamber of Parliament. But what could be influencing this?
To slip the gallery for the utmost protection of members while in the chamber.
Meanwhile, the minority is unhappy with the lack of scrutiny on an almost $1 billion loan for the Pualugu tomato factory laid before the House.
You have just seen me protest over $890 million brought to Parliament at the wee hours, and then a report is generated after a 20 minutes meeting. Yet this Parliament says it is exercising a representative role.
Also in this bulletin, over 6,500 ex-Anglo Gold Ashanti workers demand release of their over 100-year-old heritage fund by government.
We are giving the government a very little time, as a matter of urgency to release this money to its beneficiaries. Else, something greater than this is about to happen.
And later in the bulletin, and that's how it went down on Joy SMS earlier today, with Luigi McLean and Joy FM staff treating listeners to some beautiful Christmas carols and Bible readings at the Joy FM Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols. Stay for details. Plus, what will be your advice and lessons to family, friends and loved ones?
We must be proud of ourselves. We must take this period to reflect and count our blessings.
Share the little you have with somebody. If you have a fowl, take one leg and give one leg to the other person.
Details coming up. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Araba Koomson. And we start with government rejecting claims by former President Mahama that the education sector is being mismanaged. At a news conference this morning, Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yao Educhum gave a blow-by-blow response to all claims made by the former president during his Facebook Live interaction yesterday. We'll bring you details shortly, but first, listen to this sound of former President former President Mahama, I beg your pardon, responding to the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, at an MPP rally on Sunday.
And so when I say review, I mean to improve. And the first thing we'll do is to abolish the double track. We will fast track the completion of those schools, and we will spread out the children to some of the schools that are completed. And we're building additional dormitories and others. Those projects have all slowed. Good policy, poor implementation. That is what it is.
So that's former President Mahama at his Facebook Live session yesterday, responding to government's claims that he intends to scrap the free SHS policy. Well, government has been responding to him and the numerous issues he raised at his session yesterday at a news conference this morning. Joy News editor Fred Smith was at that news conference. He joins me in the studio now. First, how did they respond to Mr. Hama's concerns that schools' infrastructure started by his administration have been abandoned?
Well, they say that that is not true and that all these blocks are being completed. We can listen to the Deputy Education Minister, Dr. Yaw Edichum, respond to this specific concern.
I don't think we do ourselves any favor as political leaders of this country when we gloss over the truth and don't tell the Ghanaians that your investment is being put to good use. The MPP government, under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is putting whatever investment NDC made to good use. We are using their resources, and we are building on it. For example, when we came to power, there was something called the Secondary Education Improvement Project, or SEIP, a World Bank project which NDC sourced 156 million to implement. It was a good program. We continued. And in fact, the Minister of Education, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, led a team that renegotiated and added 40 million more US dollars so that we could do more and improve more schools. So where is President Mahama? Why is he saying that we've abandoned things that they've started and it's as if we don't care about the investment of the good people of Ghana and we rather allow the investment to go to waste? So that is the record I want to set straight, that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has continued a number of projects that the President left behind, President Mahama left behind, in addition to the new ones that we are doing. We have KG buildings under construction across the country. We have basic school buildings under construction across the country. We have new senior high schools that we are building. As I speak, if you go to Kumasi, Kwadaso, we have a creative arts senior high school, the first of its kind probably in Africa, West Africa, or for that matter, Africa. And when you look at the creative arts senior high school, it's a new building, which is a new school, which is going to be finished in September, ready for opening, beautiful. We are building new schools. But in addition, we are not leaving any school that was started by the NDC behind. However, I also want you to understand that if we look at the E block, for example, at Drobonso, which was situated in the middle of nowhere, we cannot just open the school when the road leading to the school is not even accessible. So what did the minister do? The Minister of Education had to then award a contract for dormitory blocks to be done at Drobonso. And when those dormitory blocks are completed, Drobonso will be operationalized. So if that is what the President means by abandonment, we are fixing it, we are tweaking it, we are making it usable, and that is what we are doing at the Ministry of Education. So we are not abandoning them. We are making sure that all those schools that were situated in places where you cannot open, we'll give them facilities so that we will open them.
So that's the Deputy Education Minister, Yaw Edichum, responding to those claims by former President Mahama yesterday. Well, yesterday at that event, former President Mahama also indicated that if he is elected in 2020, he will scrap the teacher licensure examination. Fred, what has the Deputy Minister been saying in response to this?
Well, he says this program was actually started by the former president during his time in office in 2016. And so it is a program they saw to be very good. And so they decided to continue. It is his own program. So they are confused as to why he wants to scrap it now.
Okay, let's talk about the teacher and technical and vocational education, which the former president says he will make free if he's elected in the power.
This one also, they say it is already free. It is under the free senior high school, and therefore the former president should revise his notes and come back on this.
Now, speaking about the free SHS policy and the double track program that's been put in place, yesterday I do recall the former president saying that the students are losing a lot of contact hours. What has the minister been saying in response to this?
Well, indeed, I listened to the former president who made a point that some parents have actually said that their children went to school for 3 weeks. They had sports for 2 weeks, and then the third week the teacher started, and then they had to go back home because it's time for vacation. And the Deputy Education Minister is saying that that's impossible, and that what they've done is to rather increase the time the teacher spends with the student under the semester system, as against what they were doing under the term system, and so there's more contact hours under this particular system. But he doesn't rule out the fact that some schools or some school managers may be indisciplined and therefore would want to do this, and so he would appreciate any information from the former president to this effect, if there's any specific school that is doing this, so they can correct the anomaly if any exists.
All right, many thanks. Joint News Editor Fred Smith there with details from a news conference addressed by Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yao Edichum, rejecting claims by former President Mahama that the education sector is being mismanaged. Away from that, Parliament rose in the early hours of today, with members going for the Christmas break with a firm assurance they will be protected in the chamber when the House resumes next year. This is because the Parliamentary Service Board is considering approval of a bulletproof glass ceiling to be installed in the chamber to protect the MPs. Speaker of Parliament Professor Michael Quaye disclosed this before the House suspended sitting.
Work of the Parliament House infrastructure, fiscal and structural enhancement projects are ongoing, and progress can be obviously seen. Visitor Center is also expected to be completed early next year. It may interest members to know that the board is seriously considering a bulletproof glass curtain to slip the gallery for the utmost protection of members while in the chamber. Honorable members.
Still in Parliament, an almost $1 billion loan for the Pwalugu Dam and irrigation project laying was met with protest from the minority, who insist they were not given time to scrutinize the agreement. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, in his closing remarks, kicked against the practice.
You have just seen me protest over $890 million brought to Parliament at the wee hours, and then a report is generated after a 20 minutes meeting. Yet this Parliament says it is exercising a representative role on behalf of the people of Ghana. The people of Ghana are better judges, whether we are doing a diligent work or we are doing other things just to satisfy the spur of the moment. Certainly, when you want to consider a loan of $1 billion and you require thoroughness and diligence, you will make that available to members of Parliament, not this report, when we have anything saying the accompanying memoranda and documents and approval from Cabinet. Mr. Speaker, next year, 2020, will be significant in the democratic political life of our country. It will be significant as that will usher in the 8th Parliament of our country. Mr. Speaker, there will be parliamentary and presidential elections, as we will all account to the people of Ghana for our stewardship as members of Parliament.
And that's Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu there. We're joined on the line by Deputy Majority Whip Matthew Nyindam for some more discussion on this. Many thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you, my dear. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. Now, let's start with the Chamber of Parliament. Why does the Chamber need a bulletproof glass ceiling?
Sorry, I didn't get you well.
Well, we do understand the Parliamentary Service Board is considering the approval of a bulletproof glass ceiling to be installed in the chamber. But I'm asking, why does the chamber need a bulletproof glass ceiling?
Let me say good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your listeners. And let me use the opportunity to wish everybody Merry Christmas. To wish the President and the Vice President, the entire nation, a Merry Christmas. I think if you look at Parliament in general, obviously we all agree that it is a house that each and everyone can walk in and walk out because we represent the people. So sometimes security-wise, we are quite vulnerable. So for us as individuals and the nation to also protect ourselves, I think it will not be out of place to put in security measures to protect members and to protect Parliament as a whole. In fact, I don't actually belong to the Parliamentary Service Board, but I think that if that is the thinking, I think it's welcome because we all have to beef up security to make sure that members are safe. We remember not too long the incidents that happened in Parliament on 2 occasions where individuals came into Parliament, and the story is well known. Some individual came there wanting to commit suicide. The other person also came in when this dropped the chamber matter. We all know what happened. So sometimes we think as parliamentary, security is very important because
speaking about security, Honorable, the question many may ask is, why don't you rather tighten security at the entrances so that you don't have some of these problems coming up?
Yeah, it's one of the measures, because if you talk about bulletproof glasses, it's one of the measures to also protect members of parliament, because anything at all can happen from afar. It is also very important that we tighten security from the entrance. But security is not just one short measure. It's chronological events, because you move from one place, you have to go to the other place, and to the other place maybe to your final destination. So I think this is one of the steps that maybe Parliamentary Service Board is taking. Just like I said, I don't sit on the Parliamentary Service Board, and I will not be able to come out conclusively to say yes.
Very well. Let's talk about the almost $1 billion loan that was laid for the Palugu Dam and Irrigation Project. It was laid last night, and the minority is unhappy about that because it didn't give them enough time to scrutinize the agreement. Don't you consider, why do you bring government business late to the House?
Well, let me also put on record that we all admit and agree that one of the most important projects that we all need as a nation is this Palugu project that is the president has gone to cast salt for. It's going to be of enormous benefits to the people of this nation, especially people in the Upper East region. I must also put on record that it is not just the minority alone sometimes that express some kind of feeling, let me say, if to choose my words carefully, sometimes the delay of documents and delay of programs that comes to members of parliament. You must also know that parliament do not control things that comes to parliament entirely, because it's a mandate from the executive. So when it comes to the floor, and speaker has to make a referral. So to be specific with the question you have asked, yesterday when it came, actually we all admitted that the referral came very late, and we thought it was not prudent for us to move on to consider that particular referral yesterday night, because it was actually going to put the whole parliament, not just an individual, was going to look like parliament was doing things without due diligence. So if you listen to the minority leader, although under such circumstances we are going to take in under certificate of agency, they met and came out with their report. The majority leader said no, we couldn't take this report because looking at the time, we need to do some kind of work. But the appeal to the House was that, yes, they've come out with a report. Let's pick the report. They've given us some particular documents. Let's go and take the report, look at the report, look at the particular document. And when we come, by 28th of January, when we come, there will be ample time. We will have all done some kind of due diligence to that particular document, so we can take it. By that, obviously, minority will be talking.
Very well.
And that is what the minority leader spoke. It's not about him alone. It is about.
Many thanks for your time. That's a Deputy Majority Whip, Matthew Nyindan, there with his thoughts. Well, the Speaker, however, allowed the document to be laid, but deferred consideration of it.
This document is now seized of the House. It is before me and before members of this honorable House who wish to avail themselves of it, or may hereafter avail themselves thereof. I note that the honorable majority leader is not asking for us to proceed beyond the mere presentation of this document. Therefore, honorable members, the document will be duly presented. Honorable members will have a lot of adequate time to go and study the document, and then upon its return, in a period of about a month, honorable members will be given more informed to participate in a very meaningful discussion of it.
So you heard the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Okwe. Moving on, the Oman Hene of the Mankesim traditional area, Osajefo Amanfo Edu, and his Queen Mother, Nana Ama Emisa, are in court today over a shooting incident. They were together with 11 others arrested by the Central Regional Police. Correspondent Richard Kojonyako was in court and is due to join us on the line soon. But you're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Just gone by, we've heard from the majority side in Parliament on why they need a bulletproof glass curtain for the Chamber of Parliament. But still ahead, over 6,500 ex-Anglo-Gold Ashanti workers demand release of their 100-year-old heritage fund by government.
We are giving the government a very little time, as a matter of urgency, to release this money to its beneficiaries. Else, something greater than this is about to happen.
And later in the bulletin, that's how it went down on Joy SMS Super Morning Show earlier today, with Luigi McLean and Joy FM staff treating listeners to some beautiful Christmas carols and Bible readings at the Joy FM Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols. Stay for details on that. Plus, what will be your advice and lessons to family, friends and loved ones?
We must be proud of ourselves. We must take this period to reflect and count our blessings.
Share the little you have with somebody. If you have a fowl, take one leg and give one leg to it.
Details when we come back, plus sports.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Start making the simple things simpler. Start using your MasterCard instead of cash. Start buying groceries, shopping online, or at your favorite store, all using your MasterCard. Start enjoying the freedom of a MasterCard in your pocket, knowing the simple things are taken care of with easy, safe, and secure transactions. Ask your bank for your MasterCard. Better than cash.
Be live on your most authoritative news analysis and current affairs news file, Saturday, December 28th, for the end of year broadcast. Evans Mensah joins me. We take your views and questions as we host a panel of experts and distinguished guests to review major issues and developments that made headlines in 2019. Come, let's review matters on corruption, education, economy, health, elections, vigilantism, and media freedom. Be part of Newsfile on Saturday, December 28th. Come to the East Wing, UPSA Auditorium at 9 a.m. sharp. Newsfile, your most authoritative news analysis platform. For inquiries, please call SNI on 054-630-3435 to register to attend. Remember, guests must be seated at 8:30 a.m.
You're welcome back to the Midday News with me, Araba Koomson. It's time for sports, and Nathaniel Atto joins me in the studio. So this Saturday is 28th, and that's when the Premier League starts.
Well, the
right?
Ghana Premier League, definitely. That's the start of the Ghana Premier League season, and there's been a lot of talk about the way our Premier League is organized. The Premier League is the highest in terms of all the football franchises that we have competition-wise, and there's a lot of talk about how they're being organized, and there are heavy expectations within all the stakeholder bodies of Ghana football and those outside of it who are the fans, who are the receiving end of all of the football, about how things are going to be done to give them a wonderful experience when they go to the stadium to watch their games. And FA President Kurto Kreku has been speaking about how his outfit is working very tirelessly to ensure that these leagues are very professionally organized.
That the new season that is just about rolling out will produce exciting and truly professionally run competitions. In our quest to drive the change, we have also approved competition-specific regulations for all our products, namely the Premier League, the Division 1 League, the Women's Premier League, and we're going to the extent of also providing regulations for all RFA organized competitions across the country.
Ghana FA President Kurto Kreku there. And Araba, I love the smile though. It's a good Christmas smile. But which of the clubs do you support anyway?
The local clubs?
Yes.
I support Ebusia Dwarfs.
Ebusia Dwarfs for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons.
So we're traveling to the Cape Coast Stadium one of these days to watch a game, right?
Definitely.
Have a wonderful one. That's your sport.
You too, Nathaniel. Away from sports, over 6,500 former workers of Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi Mine are demanding government releases money from their heritage fund established over 100 years ago. The ex-employees have no idea how much has accrued to the funds set up in 1897 when the erstwhile Ashanti Goldfields began mining to cater for workers when operations ceased. The agitated former workers say following the closure of the mine in 2014, they initiated a process to retrieve the money. They claim to have discovered the fund had been transferred to government by the mine for onward payment to potential beneficiaries. Isaac Asiedu speaks for the aggrieved workers of the Ashanti Gold.
On 2018, the representatives of the workers met with the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, at the Jubilee House, Accra, to draw his attention to the fund and had discussions with him about it. We presented the necessary document regarding the fund to him upon the said meeting. The President referred us to the Deputy Chief of Staff, Asenso Boakye, and told him to liaise with the Minister for Mine, for Lands and Natural Resources to address the issue. And our information is that all the necessary processes have been undertaken towards the release of the fund to the beneficiaries. But it is only left with the President to give the green light for the said money to be paid to its beneficiaries. Regrettably, however, the President has still not done what is requested for the release of the money to the beneficiaries, to the ex-Anglo Gold workers who were retrenched in the year 2013.
So that's Isaac Asiedu, and he speaks for ex-Anglo Gold workers. Well, Christmas is just a few hours away, and as you may already know, there can't be Christmas without the Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols. Well, on the Joy Super Morning Show today, we had artists like Luigi McLean treating us to some beautiful tunes, or let me say carols. But 2019 is coming to an end in 7 days. What will be your advice and lessons to family, friends and loved ones? That's the question morning show host Kojo Yankson posed to CEO of the Business and Financial Times, Edith Dankwa, the head of corporate and investment banking at Stanbic, Kwamina Asumening, and the CEO of Vodafone Ghana, Patricia Obonai, and Chief Executive Officer of McDan Group of Companies, Daniel Macaulay. Listen to their responses.
Precious gift God gave to us, Jesus Christ. The lesson has been presented to us, the standard has been set. I think the right thing for us to do this Christmas is to also give. If you can give something of value to you, that would be nice, because that is what God did. So from me to you, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas And from Vodafone to you, you know, for Christmas is unlimited browsing on fixed. For Vodafone Cash is free P2P. So please have a very Merry Christmas and see you all in the new year.
As man on earth to save the world. And I'd ask that we all spend some time to reflect on the Christmas message of God coming down in human form to reconcile us back to himself.
We are privileged to be born here, to be Ghanaians. We must be proud of ourselves. We must take this period to reflect and count our blessings.
So that's some of the business leaders in Ghana there. Now, if you missed the Bible reading and carol music, here are excerpts of how it all went down on the Super Morning Show earlier today. All right, anyway, we'll bring you that much later. But right now it's time to check what's trending on social media. And Sarah is here with me. Sarah, what's trending?
Well, Araba, it's all about the year of return and people who are coming back to the motherland have been tweeting. And Albania Bouquet says, I got my passport, leaving to go to Ghana tomorrow. Haven't been there since 2010. It still hasn't hit me yet. And he hashtags year of return. And also, Ni Torera says, by the power of the Holy Spirit, I cancel and write off any bad news towards you. In this few days to the end of the year, it's all about Mother Ghana. Hashtag year of return. And this one also reads, we are still experiencing the year of return, my people. This is Ghana, and he uploads some pictures of the various cuisines we have here in this country. Winnie John also says, Ghana is so beautiful. This is our motherland. Hashtag year of return. And Kalila Johnson also says, Christmas and New Year's in Ghana is super lit. Let's go. Hashtag year of return.
Right. So those are some of your tweets there. And year of return is really trending. But that's how we end the bulletin. We heard from the leadership of Parliament justifying why they need a bulletproof glass curtain for the Chamber of Parliament. We leave you with excerpts of how it all went down earlier this morning on the Super Morning Show.
Multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the